There comes a moment in every life when pretending to be confident no longer works. When the applause fades, the achievements feel hollow, and you realize that true confidence was never something you could earn from the world. It's something you must remember within yourself. Confidence isn't loud. It isn't built from constant wins, perfect timing, or unbroken courage. It's quiet, steady, and deeply rooted in self-trust. It's the knowing that no matter what happens, you can handle it. It's the peace that stays even when things fall apart. Most people spend their lives trying to feel confident by controlling circumstances, seeking approval, or accumulating achievements. But all that does is create dependency, the kind that disappears the moment life stops going your way. This book is not about becoming fearless or flawless. It's about remembering who you are beneath fear, beneath self-doubt, beneath every story that made you question your worth. Because confidence isn't something you chase, it's something you uncover. It's already within you, waiting for you to stop running from yourself. Through these chapters, you will be guided into the deeper layers of self-awareness to see the roots of insecurity, heal from comparison, rebuild self-trust, and align with the truth of your own power. You'll learn that authentic confidence doesn't come from what you can prove, but from what you can accept, that you are already enough, even before the world agrees. So take a breath. Let go of who you thought you needed to be. What follows is not a path to becoming confident, but a journey of returning to it. Because the unshakable version of you isn't hiding somewhere out there. It's been within you all along, waiting for you to listen. Chapter 1. The Hidden Root of Insecurity. Insecurity doesn't begin with failure. It begins with disconnection. From the moment we start comparing ourselves to others, measuring our worth against external standards, or trying to fit into expectations that aren't our own, we begin drifting away from our authentic center. As children, we knew how to be ourselves effortlessly, to speak, move, and dream without hesitation. But as we grew, the world began to condition us, to please, to perform, to prove. Bit by bit, we learned that love, approval, and belonging seem to come with conditions. And that's how insecurity quietly takes root. Not because we are weak, but because we've been taught to look outside for the safety that only self-acceptance can give. The hidden root of insecurity lies in self-rejection. It's the subtle belief that who we are is somehow not enough, that we must improve, achieve, or transform before we are worthy of respect or love. This belief creates a constant inner conflict, a part of you that wants to grow and another that secretly fears being seen. You may chase success, validation, or even spiritual enlightenment, hoping it will fill that emptiness. But as long as your sense of worth depends on something outside of you, insecurity will always return. Insecurity also thrives in comparison, the quiet poison of the modern mind. Social media, cultural ideals, and societal pressure have turned life into a performance where everyone appears to be doing better than you. What we don't realize is that comparison disconnects us from our unique path. You can't hear your inner wisdom when you're busy measuring your life by someone else's progress. The more we look outward for validation, the more disconnected we become from our own essence. And that disconnection is what makes confidence feel so far away. The path to dissolving insecurity isn't found in pretending to be confident or forcing positive thoughts. It begins with awareness, noticing how often you judge yourself, how quickly you doubt your abilities, how deeply you seek to be seen. Awareness is what brings light into the shadow of insecurity. It allows you to see that these doubts were never your truth. They were borrowed beliefs, echoes of past experiences, and outdated stories your mind kept replaying. True confidence grows the moment you stop trying to fix yourself and start learning to accept yourself. You begin to realize that nothing about you is broken. You simply forgot your wholeness. When you reconnect with that truth, the root of insecurity starts to loosen. The need for validation fades, and a quiet strength begins to rise, not from ego, but from alignment. That's when you discover the foundation of unshakable confidence, knowing that who you are is already enough, exactly as you are. Chapter 2. Reclaiming Your Inner Voice. There is a voice within you that has been speaking all along, calm, certain, and wise. Yet somewhere along the journey of life, that voice was drowned out by noise, the opinions of others, societal expectations, and your own self-doubt. You began to confuse the world's loudness for truth and your inner whisper for uncertainty. But the truth is, your inner voice, your intuition, your inner guidance, has never stopped speaking. You just stopped listening. Reclaiming it is not about creating something new, but returning to what has always been there beneath the noise. Every time you silence your instincts to please others, you weaken your connection to your own inner authority. You've likely had moments when something within you said, "This isn't right," or "Go this way," but logic or fear talked you out of it. Later, you realize that your intuition was right. This is not coincidence. It's a reminder of the intelligence that lives within you. Reclaiming your inner voice means learning to trust that feeling again, even when it doesn't make sense, even when it goes against logic or external approval. Because the voice of the soul is not rational, it's real. The greatest obstacle to hearing that voice is internal noise, the overthinking, the self-criticism, the constant seeking of outside validation. We spend so much energy trying to be liked, understood, or accepted that we lose the ability to recognize our own truth. Confidence doesn't grow from external validation. It grows from alignment. When what you think, say, and do begin to match the truth you feel inside. To reach that alignment, you must slow down, quiet the mind, and allow your inner wisdom to surface through stillness, journaling, meditation, or even mindful reflection. Your inner voice will not compete for your attention. It speaks softly but powerfully. It feels like peace, like clarity, like a deep yes that needs no explanation. The more you honor it, the louder it becomes. The more you dismiss it, the quieter it grows. Reclaiming it requires practice. It's a gradual unlearning of external noise and a return to self-trust. You don't have to find your voice. You just have to stop betraying it. When you reclaim your inner voice, you reclaim your power. Decisions become clearer, boundaries become easier, and fear loses its grip. You no longer move through life asking, "What should I do?" Instead, you move with quiet confidence, knowing, "I already know." This is the turning point where unshakable confidence begins, not in being fearless, but in finally trusting the truth that lives within you. Chapter 3. The Power of Self-Belief and Inner Dialogue. Every moment of your life, there is a conversation happening inside your mind, a dialogue that shapes how you see yourself, what you believe is possible, and how you respond to the world. This inner dialogue is the architect of your confidence. When it is empowering, you walk taller, speak with clarity, and face challenges with strength. When it is critical or fearful, it becomes a silent cage that limits your potential. The quality of your life, your success, relationships, peace, and growth, depends on the tone of the voice that speaks within you. Self-belief doesn't come from external achievements. It's born from the language you use with yourself daily. Every "I can't" weakens your foundation, while every "I can" builds an inner structure of certainty. Many people wait for results before they believe, but the truth is reversed. Belief always precedes results. What you repeatedly affirm in your mind becomes the blueprint for your reality. The subconscious doesn't distinguish between truth and imagination. It simply accepts what you feed it through repetition and emotion. This is why inner dialogue is not just casual thinking, it's conscious creation. To cultivate unshakable confidence, you must become aware of your inner narrator. Notice the words that follow "I am," because those two words hold creative power. When you say, "I am confident," "I am capable," "I am enough," you are sending commands to your subconscious to align your reality with that identity. But when you say, "I am not good enough," "I always fail," or "I can't handle this," you are programming limitation into your own being. Confidence is not arrogance. It is self-honoring, the understanding that you are worthy of the space you occupy and capable of meeting any challenge that arises. Transforming your inner dialogue takes practice. It begins with awareness, catching the moments when your mind defaults to fear, doubt, or comparison. Instead of arguing with those thoughts, replace them with deliberate affirmations that reflect your truth. Speak to yourself as you would to someone you love, with encouragement, patience, and belief. When your mind says, "I can't," respond, "I'm learning." When it says, "I'm not enough," answer, "I am growing stronger every day." You are the guardian of your mental environment. It's your job to make sure the voice inside lifts you higher, not drags you down. When you master your inner dialogue, you reclaim authorship of your destiny. The world begins to mirror the confidence you feel within. People respond differently, opportunities flow more naturally, and fear begins to dissolve. Self-belief is not a one-time decision. It's a daily practice of speaking truth into your mind until it becomes your natural state. The power of your words is the power of your world, and when your inner voice becomes your ally, nothing external can shake the foundation of who you are. Chapter 4. Healing from Comparison and External Validation. One of the greatest thieves of confidence is comparison. It begins quietly. You see someone doing what you wish you could do, living how you wish you could live, or looking how you wish you could look. At first it seems harmless, but slowly, comparison turns admiration into inadequacy. You start measuring your worth against someone else's highlight reel, forgetting that every person is walking a path uniquely designed for them. The moment you compare your journey to another's, you lose connection to your own power. Comparison is rooted in the illusion of separation, the false belief that someone else's success diminishes yours, that their light makes yours fade. But life doesn't work that way. The universe is abundant, not competitive. Your timing, your gifts, your lessons, and your growth are perfectly aligned with who you are meant to become. When you chase validation outside yourself, you hand over your emotional stability to forces you can't control. The likes, the approval, the praise, they might lift you momentarily, but they will never fill you. Because external validation feeds the ego, not the soul, and the ego is never satisfied. Healing begins when you remember that your worth is inherent, not earned. You were valuable before anyone noticed you, before any achievement, before any title. Confidence isn't about being the best. It's about being real. It's the courage to stand grounded in your truth, even when no one is clapping. When you stop needing others to confirm your value, you free yourself from emotional slavery. You become untouchable. Not because you don't care what others think, but because your self-acceptance runs deeper than their opinions. To heal from comparison, practice shifting your focus inward. Celebrate your own growth instead of measuring your progress by someone else's chapter. When envy arises, let it guide you, not into bitterness, but into clarity. Ask yourself, what is this feeling trying to show me about my desires? Often, the qualities we admire or resent in others are reflections of dormant potential within us. Use comparison as a mirror, not a measuring stick. Let it inspire you to rise, not shame you into shrinking. When you release the need for validation, something powerful happens. You become whole. Your confidence stops depending on applause, and your peace is no longer at the mercy of opinion. You start living from a place of authenticity rather than performance. And in that authenticity, you become magnetic. People are drawn to those who are comfortable in their own skin, not because they seek approval, but because they radiate it. True confidence is not found in comparison or validation. It is found in self-acceptance, and once you own that truth, you no longer compete. You simply shine. Chapter 5. The energy of worthiness. Worthiness is not something you earn, it's something you remember. Yet for most people it becomes the most difficult truth to accept. From a young age, we are conditioned to believe that worth must be proven through achievement, approval, beauty, or belonging. We grow up chasing validation like oxygen, forgetting that we were born worthy. Every time you tie your value to performance, you disconnect from your natural power. The truth is, your worth has never fluctuated. Only your awareness of it has. Confidence begins where unworthiness ends. When you feel unworthy, you move through life apologizing for your existence, shrinking your voice, accepting less than you deserve, and fearing rejection. You overgive, over-explain, and overcompensate, hoping to earn the love that was never meant to be earned. But when you embody worthiness, everything shifts. You stop begging for acceptance and start magnetizing it. Your energy changes. It speaks before you do. You no longer chase opportunities. They begin to find you because you've aligned with your true frequency. Worthiness is not arrogance. It's energetic truth. It's the quiet knowing that you are enough, even when you're still growing. It's the courage to take up space without guilt, to receive love without fear, to walk away from anything that dishonors your peace. Many people think confidence comes from doing more, but in reality, it comes from being more present in your value. When you operate from worthiness, you stop performing for approval and start living in alignment with your authentic energy. You no longer need to prove your light. You embody it. To cultivate the energy of worthiness, you must challenge the subconscious stories that say, "You're not enough." Every time your mind whispers, "I don't deserve this," respond, "I am open to receiving." Every time you feel small, remind yourself, "I was never created to compete. I was created to contribute." Speak worthiness into your being until it becomes your natural vibration. You can't think your way into confidence. You must feel it. That feeling is born when you decide you are worthy right now, not someday, not after you've achieved more, but now. When you embody this truth, your presence becomes magnetic. You stop needing to convince anyone of your value. Your energy speaks for you. You attract relationships that honor your essence, opportunities that align with your purpose, and experiences that reflect your self-respect. Worthiness isn't a destination, it's a state of being. It's the foundation of unshakable confidence, the frequency that tells the universe, "I am ready to receive all that matches my truth." When you finally realize that you are enough, not because of what you do, but because of what you are, everything begins to change. Chapter 6. Trusting Yourself Completely. At the core of unshakable confidence lies one unbreakable bond: trust in yourself. Without self-trust, even the most talented, intelligent, or capable person will crumble under doubt. Self-trust is what allows you to take leaps without knowing the outcome, to make decisions without overanalyzing, and to move forward even when fear whispers you might fail. It is the deep knowing that no matter what happens, you will figure it out. It's not arrogance, it's alignment. When you trust yourself, you no longer need guarantees. You become your own safety. But for many, self-trust has been fractured. It breaks slowly, through years of self-abandonment, people-pleasing, ignoring intuition, and choosing fear over truth. Every time you silence your inner voice to satisfy others, every time you second-guess your feelings, you chip away at that sacred bond with yourself. You start believing that others know better, that your instincts are unreliable, that your desires are unreasonable. The result is a quiet disconnection from your own power. You begin seeking permission for what only your soul can approve. Rebuilding self-trust requires honesty and courage. You must be willing to forgive yourself for the moments you didn't listen, for the times you stayed silent when you wanted to speak, and for every time you ignored your intuition. Then begin small. Keep promises to yourself, even the simple ones. When you say you'll wake early, do it. When you say you'll rest, honor it. These small acts of integrity are not trivial, they are spiritual training. Each time you follow through, your subconscious learns one powerful truth: I can rely on myself. And over time, that trust becomes unshakable. Learning to trust yourself also means learning to trust your path. You won't always have clarity, but you can cultivate confidence in the unfolding. The higher self often reveals one step at a time, not the entire journey. And that's by design. When you let go of the need to control every detail, you step into flow. The mind craves certainty, but the soul thrives on faith. To trust yourself completely is to walk forward even when you can't see the entire staircase, knowing that each step will appear when you need it. True confidence is not the absence of uncertainty, it's the ability to stand firm within it. When you trust yourself, fear loses its authority. You stop seeking signs of worthiness from outside sources and start relying on your inner compass. You make decisions with calm conviction, not out of desperation. You begin to radiate a quiet strength that others feel, even if they can't explain it. Because when you trust yourself completely, you no longer need the world to reassure you. You become your own reassurance. That is the essence of unshakable confidence. Chapter 7. Courage. The bridge between fear and confidence. Confidence is often mistaken for the absence of fear, but that's one of the greatest misconceptions of all. True confidence is not the elimination of fear. It is the willingness to move forward despite it. And what makes that possible is courage. Courage is the bridge that carries you from fear to confidence. It's the invisible force that whispers, "Go anyway," when your mind trembles with doubt. Every confident person you admire wasn't born fearless. They simply learned to act before fear could stop them. Fear is natural. It is the mind's attempt to protect you from pain, rejection, or failure. But left unchallenged, fear becomes a cage that limits your growth. Courage is not the absence of that fear. It's the conscious choice to walk through it. Every time you face what scares you, your mind rewires itself to see fear differently. You begin to realize that most of the threats you imagine never actually happen, and even when they do, you are far more capable than you believed. Confidence grows not from perfection, but from evidence. Evidence that you survived, that you adapted, that you rose again. The path to courage begins with acceptance. Instead of fighting fear, acknowledge it. Say to yourself, "I see you, and I choose to move anyway." Fear loses its grip when you stop resisting it. The truth is, courage feels uncomfortable. Your heart races, your palms sweat, your thoughts scream for safety. But that discomfort is not danger. It's transformation. It's the sound of growth happening in real time. Every brave act, whether it's speaking your truth, starting over, or taking a risk, expands your self-trust. And with each expansion, fear's voice gets weaker, and your confidence grows stronger. To cultivate courage, practice leaning into small moments of discomfort daily. Have the conversation you've been avoiding. Take the first step toward that dream. Say yes when fear says no. Courage is a muscle, and every time you use it, it strengthens your confidence. The key is not waiting to feel brave before you act. It's acting with the awareness that bravery often comes after you move, not before. The mind hesitates, but the soul already knows the way. When you choose courage, you're not denying fear's existence. You're denying its control. In time, you'll see that fear isn't the enemy. It's a compass pointing toward your growth. The things that scare you most often hold the greatest potential for your expansion. Confidence is born in those moments, when you tremble and move anyway, when you doubt yourself and still take the leap. That's how you cross the bridge. Courage transforms fear into wisdom and uncertainty into faith. It is the divine spark that awakens your highest potential and the living proof that even in vulnerability, you are powerful beyond measure. Chapter 8. Authenticity, the source of true power. Confidence that lasts doesn't come from pretending to be strong. It comes from being real. Authenticity is the most magnetic force in existence because it's rooted in truth. When you stop trying to be what others expect and start embracing who you truly are, you unlock a power that cannot be shaken. You no longer need validation because your worth no longer depends on performance. You stand firm, not because life is perfect, but because you are no longer hiding behind masks that drain your energy. Authenticity is not about being flawless, it's about being aligned. Most people lose their confidence not because they lack ability, but because they live disconnected from their truth. They spend years molding themselves into what they think will be accepted, polishing their words, adjusting their behavior, editing their essence, until they can barely recognize themselves. The cost of fitting in is always authenticity, and the price is always peace. But when you reclaim your true self, something miraculous happens. Your energy becomes clean. You stop forcing connections and start attracting what resonates with your soul. The world responds differently to a person who is unapologetically themselves. Authenticity is not loud. It doesn't need to announce itself. It's quiet strength, the kind that says, "I'm enough as I am." It's choosing honesty over perfection, vulnerability over pretense, and truth over approval. To live authentically means to show up as your full self, your light and your shadow, your courage and your fear, without shame. It's an act of radical self-acceptance. And paradoxically, when you stop trying to impress others, you begin to inspire them. Because authenticity gives others permission to be real too. To cultivate authenticity, you must practice self-honesty. Ask yourself often, is this what I truly feel, or what I think I should feel? Is this what I desire, or what I've been told to want? The more you question your motives, the more your true voice emerges from beneath the noise. And when you begin to live in alignment with that voice, your confidence becomes unshakable, because it's no longer dependent on external validation. You can't be thrown off balance when your foundation is built on truth. Authenticity is the purest form of confidence because it's grounded in self-trust. When you are true to yourself, you can walk into any room, face any challenge, or stand in any storm, and still feel whole. You realize that your power doesn't come from being liked, but from being real. The most confident people aren't those who have it all together. They're the ones who have nothing to hide. When you live from authenticity, you no longer chase power. You are power, because nothing is stronger than a soul that is finally free to be itself. Chapter 9. Aligned action builds inner strength. Confidence is not born in theory, it is built through action. But not just any action, aligned action. Aligned action means moving in harmony with your truth, not out of fear, guilt, or obligation. It's the difference between forcing progress and flowing with purpose. When your actions reflect your authentic values and desires, every step you take strengthens your sense of self. You begin to trust yourself, not because life is perfect, but because you're living in integrity. Inner strength grows naturally when your behavior matches your beliefs. Many people feel insecure because there's a disconnect between what they say they want and what they actually do. They affirm confidence, but act in avoidance. They speak of change, but continue in patterns that keep them small. Every time you betray your own intuition, you weaken your inner foundation. But when you follow through on what your spirit knows is right, even when it's uncomfortable, you send yourself a powerful message. I can rely on me. That message is the seed of unshakable confidence. Aligned action doesn't always look grand. Sometimes it's setting a boundary when you'd rather stay quiet. Sometimes it's showing up to work on your goals when no one is watching. Sometimes it's choosing to rest because your body is asking for it. What matters most is not how much you do, but whether what you do honors your truth. Each small aligned choice becomes a vote for your inner strength. Over time, those votes build a powerful momentum of self-respect and clarity. The more you act in alignment, the more you dissolve fear. Because fear feeds on inaction, on the stories we tell ourselves about what might happen if we try. Action disrupts those stories. It transforms uncertainty into experience, and experience into wisdom. You realize that confidence is not the absence of fear, but the willingness to move through it with faith. Every time you take aligned action despite doubt, your spirit expands. You become stronger not by avoiding risk, but by proving to yourself that you can face it. Inner strength is not something you wait to feel. It's something you build, step by step, through choices that align with who you truly are. You don't need to know the entire path. You only need to take the next honest step. Each act of alignment reinforces your self-trust, and that trust becomes the backbone of your confidence. Eventually, you stop asking, "Can I do this?" and start saying, "I'm doing it." That's the power of aligned action. It transforms hesitation into certainty and self-doubt into unshakable strength. Chapter 10. Becoming Unshakable. Confidence beyond fear. To become unshakable is not to live without fear. It is to live beyond it. True confidence is not built on the absence of doubt, but on the mastery of your inner response to it. It's realizing that fear is not your enemy, but an invitation to expand. Every moment that challenges you is not meant to break you, but to help you see how strong you already are. Unshakable confidence grows from this understanding that your worth is constant, even when the world feels uncertain. When you stop running from fear and instead walk through it with faith, you become unstoppable. Confidence beyond fear begins with awareness. The moment you recognize fear as a natural part of growth, it loses its control over you. You start to see that fear often points directly to the areas where your spirit is ready to evolve. Every dream that scares you holds a key to your transformation. When you act despite that fear, when you take one honest step toward what calls you, you reclaim your power. You are no longer driven by avoidance. You are led by purpose. This is where courage matures into confidence, and confidence deepens into peace. Unshakable people are not fearless. They are anchored. They have learned to root their trust in something deeper than circumstance, in their own essence. Their confidence is not a performance, but a presence. They may still feel anxiety, self-doubt, or vulnerability, but they no longer identify with those emotions. Instead, they allow them to move through, knowing that feelings are temporary, but self-belief is eternal. When you embody this truth, you begin to stand tall, not because life guarantees you success, but because you are secure within yourself, no matter the outcome. Becoming unshakable also means letting go of the need for external validation. You no longer measure your worth by approval, recognition, or achievement. You move with quiet assurance, knowing that your value existed long before anyone noticed it. You start to create, speak, and live, not to prove something, but to express something, the fullness of who you are. And in doing so, you naturally inspire others to find that same strength within themselves. This kind of confidence radiates peace. It does not shout. It glows. Unshakable confidence is not a destination. It is a state of being that grows with practice. It's born from the continual choice to trust yourself, to honor your truth, and to face life's uncertainties with an open heart. When you live from that place, fear becomes fuel, setbacks become lessons, and every challenge becomes a doorway to expansion. You realize that no external force can take away the strength that comes from within. You have become what you were always meant to be, calm, courageous, and completely unshaken. In conclusion, you were never meant to chase confidence. You were meant to remember it. From the moment you were born, you carried within you the quiet power of knowing your worth, the natural courage to explore, and the inner wisdom to rise after every fall. But along the way, the world taught you to seek approval, to measure yourself by standards that were never yours, and to doubt your own brilliance. Yet the truth remains. What you seek has always been inside you. Confidence is not something to build. It is something to uncover. Every fear you face, every voice that tells you you're not enough, every setback that tries to break your spirit, these are not signs of weakness. They are invitations to return home to yourself. When you learn to stand still in the midst of uncertainty, to breathe through discomfort, and to listen to the whisper of your own truth, you begin to see that nothing external has the power to define you. You are not what happens to you. You are what responds within you. That is where unshakable confidence is born. To live with unshakable confidence is to live from the inside out. It's the daily choice to trust your intuition, to honor your emotions, to speak your truth even when your voice trembles, and to act in alignment with your values, not someone else's expectations. It's refusing to let fear make your decisions, knowing that courage is not the absence of fear, but the mastery of it. It's realizing that your light does not depend on who sees it. It simply shines because that is what it was created to do. Now it is your turn to rise, not as someone flawless or fearless, but as someone deeply aware, grounded, and whole. Start today by choosing faith over fear, truth over approval, presence over performance. Stand before the mirror and remind yourself that everything you need is already within you. Speak to yourself with kindness. Move through life with purpose. And when doubt whispers, remember, even the strongest storms cannot move what is rooted in truth. Your confidence does not come from the world, it creates the world you live in. So walk forward with your head high, your heart open, and your spirit anchored. You are not becoming confident, you already are. Unshakable confidence is not something you find. It is what remains when everything false falls away. Trust it, live it, be it. If this message spoke to your soul, don't let it end here. Let it awaken something within you. Take a deep breath, feel that quiet power inside you, and decide that from this moment forward, you will no longer shrink to fit anyone's expectations. You will rise as the confident, grounded, and unshakable version of yourself that life has been waiting for. If this journey moved you, I invite you to be part of this growing community of awakened minds and fearless hearts. Subscribe to Summary Shelf for more powerful teachings that nurture your spirit and strengthen your mindset. Like this video if it resonated with your heart, and share it with someone who needs a reminder of their own inner strength. And don't forget to turn on the notification bell, because each week we dive even deeper into the wisdom that helps you grow beyond fear, doubt, and limitation. You are meant to live with power, peace, and purpose. Not someday, but today. So take that next step, because your journey toward unshakable confidence begins now.